Hi, this is Dr. Toni Alvarado, and I want to welcome you back to Harmonize Your Life, Conversations on Self-Care for Women of Color podcast. I'm so excited because we are officially in the month of March. Can you believe it? We have gone all the way through January and February, and now we are in the month of March. And it is also Women's History Month. The month of March is traditionally in the U.S. Where we a month whereby we celebrate the accomplishments and the achievements of women in our nation and even around the world. And so not only is it a joy to be with you this month, it is a joy to be here celebrating Women's History Month with you. I'm also excited because the month of March is also the anniversary of the Harmonize Your Life podcast. Yes, this month marks the 4th year that we've been doing these podcast conversations. We launched this podcast in the pandemic in March of 2020, and we have been faithful and consistent to bring you relevant information, inspiration, motivation around self-care, health, wellness, fitness, financial health, mental health, nutrition, relationships, all types of aspects, the things that make for a harmonious and healthy life. And so I'm glad to be able to come back to you this month in the 4th year as we move into our next year of this podcast and to continue these conversations with you. We ask that you would continue to follow us. We ask that you would like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share these conversations with your friends, with your neighbors, with your family members, because we believe that these conversations are changing lives. These are life-changing conversations. And when you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you allow us to go up in the analytics, in the Google search engine. And so that when people are looking for information like this, they don't have to search 3 and 4 and 5 pages down in a Google search, that will come up more readily in the Google search by the number of people who subscribe to our YouTube channel, who comment, who share these conversations. And so please do us that favor and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm so excited. We finally reached the 500 subscriber mark, which is it's not that easy to do on YouTube, believe it or not. And so we've gone over the 500 mark, and now our next benchmark is 1,000. So you all can help us get there by liking, by subscribing, by sharing this podcast with your family, your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, anybody that you believe can benefit from these conversations. Again, I'm excited to be able to come to you this month with another round of conversations. We're going to have a wonderful month. It is Women's History Month, and so we're going to be talking today about the subject of women, supporting women as we continue in this month. And then later on in the month, I have 2 women who serve in the state of Georgia in our state house, as well as our Senate, our state Senate. And we're going to be having conversations around women and in politics, and how do women in politics, how should they care for themselves, and self-care for women in politics. So it's going to be an exciting month. I'm excited about all that is happening here with the self-care, with this podcast, and with the Harmonize Your Life Self-Care Network. So listen, we're going to be right back with our conversation right after this. Well, all right. I have 2 divas in the podcast studio with me today. I am excited to have my friends, my girlfriends, my walking partners in the podcast studio with me today in the person of Mona Roberts and Yolanda Alexander. Welcome, ladies.
Hello. Thank you for having us, Dr. Toni.
Yes, hello there. And congratulations on 4 years with the podcast.
Yes, 4 years with the podcast, 4 years with the Self-Care Network. In June, it would be 4 years for the network. We started the podcast in March. Little did we know when we launched that we would be in the middle of a pandemic, you know. And I remember when, because the year before, what was it, 2019, was when I started preparing for the podcast, and we said we would launch it in March because we knew it was Women's History Month, and we wanted to launch it in March. So we did our first recordings in February that year, and we launched everything in March. And I remember right after we did our first episode was when the day or the couple of days after that was when the governor here in Georgia shut us down and declared that, you know, we were going into this sheltered in space. And I was like, Lord, and you don't call me to do this podcast. How am I going to get this done? And then, you know, and at that time we weren't doing video. We was just doing audio, right?
Right.
And I had to build a studio and all this. And I mean, it was something. It was something. But here we are 4 years later.
4 years later.
4
and
years
it was timely and well needed at that time.
Yes.
In 2016, with people needing the mental health and the self-care being locked in. So it was perfect timing, really.
Perfect timing.
It really was. And, you know, I always say God does all things well, right? And he knows the end from the beginning, and all things work together for good, all those things. And you're right. And, you know, I wrestled with whether or not to dedicate this podcast to women of color. And I went back and forth with that idea. And then I finally settled in on, I know that that's who my audience is, and that's who we're called to. Not that other women and from other cultures are not benefiting from this, but I know that that's who I'm called to reach, principally with these conversations. And then the pandemic really confirmed it because of the number of deaths that we experienced in our community. From COVID-19, because of a lot of the systemic things that are happening related to health, women's health in our community, and then even lifestyle choices that we've made. And so, we had a lot of pre-morbidity or issues that exacerbated the pandemic for us, you know. So a lot, we experienced higher rates of deaths in our community, which really confirmed to me that I was called to help our women make better choices, and even speak truth to power concerning some of the systemic racism that's going on related to health and wellness in our community, right?
Right.
So I'm so glad to have you all with me today. Let me just officially introduce you all. I know you, but I want to make sure that our podcast community knows you. Mona, this is not your first time on the podcast. You've been on before with your husband, Al. Yes. You all came on, I think, in the first year of the podcast, or maybe the second year, but you all came on and talked to us about self-care in marriage and relationships. Yeah. And so that was the first time you've been on the podcast. So y'all help me welcome Mona Roberts. She is my sister. She's my friend. Mona and her husband, Al, serve in our local church. They give leadership to the marriage ministry in our local church, the For Life Marriage Ministry. But she's also a good girlfriend and walking partner. She is the owner-operator. She and Al are the owner-operators of Our Kids Childcare facilities. They do it all. She's a real estate mogul. Trucker. They're just serial entrepreneurs. Let me just put it that way.
Serial entrepreneurs.
And they got a new book out. They are the authors of The Next Right Move. And so go and check them out and they can tell you a little something about what to do with your money. Okay. All right. Yes. And then I'm really happy to have the Diva in the podcast studio, in the person of my sister, my walking partner, girlfriend, and soror, Yolanda Alexander. Yolanda is the Director of Finance for the Housing Authority of Dekalb County, Georgia. And she is a sister beloved. And I'm just excited to have her in the podcast studio with us on today. And we're going to be talking about the subject. This is Women's History Month, ladies. And so I brought them in so we can talk about this idea of women supporting women, how important it is for us to support one another, particularly as it relates to health and wellness and self-care, fitness, and things of that nature. And just a little bit of a little fun fact about us that you all may find interesting is that we developed with one another, just kind of organically, a little walking group. And so we call each other the walking crew, and the Divas on the trail.
Divas on the trail.
And it wasn't anything that we started out doing. It just kind of happened, right?
Right.
Yeah. It just kind of happened organically. I think the way it started was in the pandemic. We was trying to get out the house. We were like, oh my God, we got to get out of here. And then one day I was talking to Mona and I was like, I'm going to the mountain. I'm going to Stone Mountain to walk. And she said, I think I'm gonna go. And then she invited Robin, and then we started going. Then she invited Yolanda. Then Yolanda started going. Then we invited Michelle. And whenever she could get on this side of the world, you know, she get over on the other side of God's back. And then she started coming, and then Irma joins us every now and then.
Right.
So it just happened organically. So we are the walking crew. We are the Divas on the trail. But more importantly, we support one another. We got a little text thread. We encourage one another. Go get it, girl. Do your thing. You know, all of that. So, ladies, let's talk a little bit. Let's just kind of do what we do. When we're on the trail, we talk. We coach one another. We share. And how important is it? Let's talk about the importance of women supporting women, particularly as it relates to self-care.
Yeah.
You want to go first, Yolanda?
You can go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you again, Dr. Toni. What a wonderful time and opportunity to share the experience of women supporting women. Like you said, we started this during the pandemic, and obviously it was a scary time for the world, and especially for me as a serial entrepreneur. We had to close our business down for about 8 weeks. And so it was a scary time. You know, we obviously couldn't go to restaurants. Everything was closed. The world was closed, right? And I felt like the walls were coming in on me. And so when we started the walk, it felt like therapy, right? It became very therapeutic for me, right? Yeah. And so I didn't feel alone. And you know, the park was the only place we can go where we didn't need to wear a mask because it was outdoors, right? And then, you know, it was reasonably priced, $40 for the year.
Yeah.
So during that time, you know, we began to walk and talk, you know, talk about our fears and what we're experiencing as, you know, women, as, you know, employees, and, you know, just the world shifting and changing and the fears of it all, right? And so it was just, it was such a blessing to me to have girlfriends to just walk that journey with.
Yeah. That's something you said. You said you didn't feel alone, and that's so important because oftentimes, and then particularly in that time, one of the reasons what really launched the Self-Care Network was I had women reaching out to me during that time saying, Dr. Toni, are you doing something? I feel isolated because, you know, we have to shelter in and we were locked in. You couldn't go anywhere. And women were saying, I feel isolated. I'm depressed. I'm lonely. You know, some people lived alone or, you know, even if they didn't live alone, we didn't live alone. We all three of us are married with children and adult children and everything. And I remember for us, all of our kids ended up coming home. So my house, and for me, I just wanted to get away from everybody. I was like, oh, there's too many people in this house. I got to get out of here.
Right.
It was a crazy time.
It was a crazy, scary time.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, the unknown.
The unknown. The unknown. And then you said, so you didn't feel alone. Yolanda, what about you? Because you ended up joining us on the trail. What motivated you to come out and be a part?
Yeah, so I kind of came in a little bit on the tail end of when it was the real scary time of the pandemic, when I started to join you guys. And it was just really an invite from Mona. Hey, we're walking. And I just felt like, you know, I wasn't really doing anything for my fitness level at that time. And so when she invited me, I thought, hey, this is a good time to get out of the house. And I was going a little stir crazy because it was my husband and I were in the house all day, every day together. And so I felt like it was just the perfect time and the right time for that invite. And I took her up on it and haven't looked back. So it has just, it's been great for me. I've enjoyed the fellowship of it all. And I think it's, you know, always important to be around like-minded people. And then secondly, to be around people that are even further along in various areas of their lives, because those people can motivate you and push you. And so that's one of the one of the great things that I have received from the walking crew and Divas on the Trail is just really pushing myself beyond, you know, what I would have typically done. So, yeah, it's been great on so many levels: fitness, the fellowship, the laughter, the camaraderie, and like you said, the number of topics that, you know, we've been able to talk about and share over, you know, it's been a couple of years now since we've been doing it. So yeah.
And, you know, and one of the things I enjoyed about the walking crew and the way it just kind of organically formed, we actually, it helped us to kind of do life together, you know, because in that time, since we started, Mona and I both have lost our mothers. And we walked through that whole season. Like when my mom was transitioning and caring, and we were caring for her during those last months and weeks of her life, I was on the walking trail with y'all, right? We would talk about that, you know, and I would tear up sometimes and cry, and y'all would cry with me. And then a year later, Mona, I think a year or two later, your mom transitioned. And we were able to, you know, listen to you and support you and things of that nature. Pray for you when you couldn't show up on the trail because you had to go to Florida to be with your mom and that kind of thing. It was good. And then not only those kind of things, but since then, both of y'all had a grandbaby. Not that y'all for Yolanda was your first grandbaby, right? And then Mona. It wasn't your first, but it was your baby having a baby.
My baby. Yes, it's my baby.
Having a baby. And so it's good. And then now I got a grandbaby.
Yes.
So it's just the stuff that we've been able to celebrate one another's birthdays.
Yes.
You know, we celebrated my 60th last year. Then we turned around and celebrated Robin's 50th. And I mean, you know, we've done life together just by connecting and supporting one another through fitness.
Right.
Who would think that a walk in the park could
lead to that? Yeah.
It certainly expanded our world on so many levels. Right? It expanded our world on so many levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when I think about the trip we took, again, just an extension of the walking club, you know, for me, it was a trip of a lifetime to be able to go to Greece with you ladies and to share, that experience with some of your old, longtime friends, Dr. Toni,
Right.
as well. It was just, it was awesome. And,
that was the trip of a lifetime, honey.
Yeah.
Of a lifetime.
Yeah.
And I tell you, if we weren't in shape, we would not have been able to walk up. What was that?
Santorini, when we had to go
Santorini.
Oh my God.
Right.
The whole trip, though, that whole trip was very active. I mean, everywhere we went, we had to walk. I mean, getting in and out of these boats and climbing upstairs and all that stuff. And you're right, Mona. If we had not been walking, I don't know how well we would have done on that trip.
Right. Right. So fitness level paid off for that.
It paid off big time.
Yeah.
It did. It did. It paid off. Huge. It was a huge benefit, I would say. And and one of the things that I'm thinking about, and I want you all to weigh in on this. We hear all the time. I know you all have heard it, and I have heard it too. That women who say things like, "I don't do other women," or "I can't get along with other women," or I don't have any friends, and things like that. What do you all think about that? And what do you say to a woman that may be listening to us and saying, well, that's good for y'all, but where I am, I'm isolated. I don't know how to connect with any other women, or I've maybe had bad experiences with women.
Yeah. So that's a tough one for me to hear, Dr. Toni, because I've had, only had one sibling, a brother. And so my girlfriends have been siblings for me. And so when other women don't have friends, like, that's heartbreaking to me, because I have, I put such value on friendship because, I have a small family. And so it means a lot to me. And I think, even when you don't, you may not be in certain environments where it seems like it's accessible to you, I think you have to open yourself up and be willing to be a friend, and allow people to come into your life that way. Because I would say many years ago, as I've matured, I am more open to women and new relationships, where before I was really shy and quiet and did not make friends very easily. But I do know that I've learned and I've grown, and I can open myself up to have other relationships. And I think we have to be willing to do that. Of course, I think, you have to be prayerful about, who God surrounds you with, and be in tune with yourself. And so that you can be able to identify people that are going to be positive influences in your life. And so I've been able to do that, and I have no regrets. I mean, I have friends that I've had for 40 years, and I have friends that I've had for just a few years. And I really can't imagine not having girlfriends. They've just
I can't
a part of my in my life.
I can't either. And like when you mentioned the trip, when we went to Greece, two of my oldest girlfriends in the world, we were all celebrating, and that's how the trip came about. Janine and Felicia, we were talking about, because we've been friends since 4th grade, since we were 9 years old, and we were like, we got to celebrate. We're all turning 60, and they are one of the longest standings. I have one other girlfriend who I've known a little longer than them. I've known her. I don't know a time where I didn't know my girlfriend Sunita. But Janine and I and Felicia, we came into one another's lives in elementary school. We were 9 years old. And so when we started talking about going and celebrating our 60th birthdays together, and then I mentioned it to you all that I was going to Greece. We were on the walking trail, and I said, hey, I'm going to Greece with my girlfriends, and you all were like, we want to go. And then I reached out to them, and I was like, hey, I know, do you all mind if our walking crew come? And they were like, well, long as they all right. Now they good, good people, right? We trust you, that kind of thing. And I assured them, I said, they ain't no drama. These are the no drama girls, right? But the fact that we all went, there was no drama.
No drama.
Everybody had a good time. You all didn't really know them. They didn't really know you. But that goes to your point, Yolanda, of being open to meet new people.
Right.
And because, like, for instance, Yolanda, I didn't know you before the walking trail. You didn't know me before. We knew of one another because of Mona, right?
Right.
you knew of me because I was Mona's pastor. I knew of you because of your son being married to her daughter and all of that, y'all's in-law relationship. But we didn't know one another.
Right.
And there have been times where, because even though Mona was the entry point for our friendship, you and I walked on the trail when Mona couldn't. So it wasn't like, well, if Mona don't go,
I'm not going. Right.
You know what I'm saying? If Mona don't go, I'm like, hey, Yolanda, you want to meet me at Lenore? You want to meet, and you, or you, Dr. Toni, you walk into that, and then so within that we formed our own friendship in the other friend, the larger friendship.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's so important, that being open to meeting new people. And something else you said, Yolanda, was, and I want you to weigh in too on this, Mona, being a friend, showing yourself friend. The Bible says if he who will have friends must first show themselves friendly, or, be a friend.
Yeah. And my story is opposite of Yolanda's. I am from a large family. So I was good with not having a lot of girlfriends, because my family is, it's huge. And so when Al and I moved here from Miami to Atlanta about 17 years ago, I knew no one. We had one friend, a couple, but otherwise, I didn't know it was a new city and what have you. And so, we bought a business and we had some colleagues, but I didn't have any girlfriends here other than my friend, Marguerite. And so I didn't really see the value in sisterhood until I went through MSK.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And we had sisters together. We went through the program together, 3 other ladies. And it's like the lights came on, like the sky parted for me, right? Because I was so homesick. I was looking back a lot. Because I felt like I left my world in Miami. That's how I felt. But then when I went through the MSK program and started meeting people and joined the church, right? And here we are, women supporting women. I started getting into that environment and learning how to be a friend again in this new community, right?
Yeah.
Opening myself, like you said, Yolanda. And, I haven't looked back. In fact, I won't. I don't think I would ever leave Atlanta and go back to Miami like I always thought I would. Because I feel so connected. I feel like I have a life here now. And it's so, it's partly because of the relationships I've built outside of my family. Because sometimes on the trail, you need to talk about your family, right? You need to talk about your husband.
That's the therapy part.
Right. And that's when it's beautiful, when you're around like-minded people. They build you up. And I don't know if we mentioned that. Also on the trail, we get some coaching. Right? And so when we have concerns about our families and spouses and whatever, you get some positive input. And when you leave the trail, you're in a better mindset.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We do. And that's so important, because particularly for those of us who are married and listening, or we have a partner that when we're listening to this, sometimes there are things that we want to talk out and work out. And women, we're talkers more often than not. And sometimes our partner, our husband, is not, right? And so we get to work some of that out with each other, so we don't wear down our husbands, trying to work it out, right? And so I'm going to be like, okay, I feel better now. I got this. Or, Mona said this, or Yolanda said that. And it really does provide another avenue for us to think through things, strategize, coach one another, and just really support one another. It is so important that we do this, and that we are intentional, I'll say, about these type of relationships. It is so important, and it's important to our overall, and this is the whole point of the conversation. This is important to our overall health and wellness.
Absolutely.
It's so important to our self-care plan or process. It's so important. First of all, we were never called to do life in isolation, right? or alone. And so it's so much easier when we're doing it as a group.
Yeah.
You know, fitness is more fun when you're at a group with a group. I'm gonna, you know, I can work out by myself, but it's always better when I'm walking with you all. I can walk by myself. I can climb Stone Mountain by myself, but it's always better. You know, it's something about it. It's something different rather when when we're together doing it. So it does bring benefits just having that support relationship, right? So what other advice would you all give to a woman who may be listening to us that just don't have this, or have not gotten out of their comfort zone to explore this? Is there any practical thing that you would recommend they do? Like, I don't know, join a fitness club, or you know, meet people, you know, as they go.
So I have thought about that, you know, and I think we kind of talked about it a little bit because I have a friend that really, you know, wants to walk, that feels like she doesn't have anyone there that will do it with her. And so just from some of our conversations, I've shared some of those ideas with her. Hey, you know, at your church, you know, check out your women. You know, if you attend a couple of women's ministry meetings, you can just put it out there. Hey guys, you know, I'm thinking about starting to walk. Does anybody want to join me? Hey, do you guys know of a good park? So I've shared those kind of ideas with her. And when she attends her next women's meeting, she's going to, you know, just put it out there, you know, just to see. I said, I'm sure you'll probably get at least one person that may be interested. You never know, you may get more. And then once you get out there, you know, two people, you know, one person tells another, next thing you know, you got some divas on the trail, you know. So
because that's exactly what happened with us. That's exactly
so that's one thing I would encourage, you know, for those that, you know, have churches, you know, have a women's ministry. I think that's a really good place to start. And then even at the office at work, I remember a job that I had a few years ago. We would have different fitness challenges. And I said, hey, maybe you can suggest it to your HR, you know, for your company to have some fitness challenges. And they would be fun. Like, hey, you got to work out this many times. You got to meet with your people, you know, to discuss different strategies and things that you could do at work with even just coworkers as an opportunity to get a chance to get some walking in or some type of fitness in. So I think that's another good avenue for people to consider, to reach out to their HR people just to see if there's some other programs that they could offer company-wide that would get people engaged in fitness as well.
Those are great ideas, Yolanda.
They really are.
Both of them are. And you're right. And once you put it out there, you will be surprised who will come along with you, you know. And sometimes it's not. Here's one of the things I tell the women that I'm coaching in the intentional self-care program. Sometimes it's not the people you expect they're going to come along. And what happens oftentimes for us as women, you know, we put stuff out there and we have who we want to support, right? We got, you know, we put our stuff out there. You having an event, you got in mind who you want to really come. And but sometimes it's not the people that you expect that are going to support. Sometimes it will be, but there are times when it may not be, and you have to be okay with that, right? You got to be a big girl and be okay with that, and then support and be open to who God sends.
Yes.
Yes. You'll be surprised to put it out there. Somebody is going to want it. Might not be the masses, but all it takes is one or two. I just recently joined the Newton and Rockdale County chapter of National Council of Negro Women recently. And yesterday I was at an event. I spoke at an event, and a few weeks ago, I spoke at an event on heart health, right? In February, I spoke at an event on heart health. And out of my conversation, listen to this, out of my talk on heart health, and I talked about walking, and walking being one of those things that we can do, this low-hanging fruit, and how good walking is for moving our bodies and strengthening our heart. Do you know that from that speaking engagement, they formed the president of the chapter. They formed a walking group.
Wow.
Yeah. For the chapter.
Wow.
And so I was at an event, and they came to me and they said, "You were our motivation for starting the walking group."
Wow.
About what you said in your talk. And so now they got a little text thing. They send it out. One of the little parks right here in Rockdale County, they meet every Friday and walk. And they told me that the president said, "You were the reason we started this walking group. Your talk inspired us." See, you never know.
You never know.
By you being who you are and putting it out there, who is going to encourage, who's going to be motivated to walk with you or just begin walking.
Yeah.
Right.
You're going to say something there?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really, truly about getting out of your comfort zone, because sometimes it's fear that makes you not want to enter into those new those new rooms. Like you said, you have a friend, Yolanda, you have to put yourself out there, right? And it feels uncomfortable initially, right? Probably when I gave you the invitation, Yolanda, to walk with us, you didn't really know Dr. Toni, so you have to put yourself out there and kind of trust yourself as well. And so I think that's what it's about, because you can't expand in your zone. If you're only with your spouse or in your family, your world is limited.
Yeah. Right. Only with the people that you already know. I mean, there's so many people out there that you don't know that could be a benefit and a refreshing to your soul. I do these half marathons. I joined the 50-state half marathon challenge. And sometimes the people that I meet at these during these marathons, I may not ever see these people again in life. But just though that moment or that time that I meet some of the most inspirational people. I remember when I met a woman and she shared with me, she was walking, I was running, and that woman outwalked me running a half marathon. She was walking with a cane. And she, and when we finally talked, I wanted to take a picture with her. I said, "Can I get a picture with her?" And she told me she had done all 50 states and all 7 continents.
Wow.
And then I remember a time when recently when I ran in Hawaii, and I read a woman who was on the trail and she had a prosthetic leg and her husband was spotting her, and it was so inspiring. I know a lot of times when I'm running, I see people running with prosthetic legs and on one arm or rolling themselves on a wheelchair, and you just will never know how inspiring it is to just get out there and meet new people.
Right.
Bigger than where you are right now.
I agree.
Yeah. So that getting out of your comfort zone is so important. I mean, when I tell you, and this is y'all, this is the kind of stuff we talk about on the trail, right? And I told them, I didn't even, usually I send questions to my guests, and I told them, I'm not sending y'all no questions. We're gonna just do what we do.
Right.
Talk. That's what we do on the trail. So getting out of your comfort zone, asking, or putting challenges out there at church, or finding groups at church, or other civic and community organizations on your job. Those kind of things we can definitely do. So Mona, you said something about getting out of your comfort zone, and I think it was something, Yolanda, you said something earlier about working on you, or I think it was something you said about working on you. So outside of the putting out challenges, what things internally do you think we as women need to work on in order for us to have these kind of life-giving relationships and support one another?
Me. Okay. One more time, Dr. Toni. What's the question again?
So the question is, what kind of internal stuff do you think, like when you said work on us and put yourself out there, that kind of thing? Or let me rephrase the question. What do you think keeps us from doing those kind of things? Maybe that's what the better question.
Oh, yeah. I think, like Mona said, fear keeps us from doing it. I think insecurities keep us from doing it, our own personal insecurities. Not feeling good about ourselves personally, where we're at, either, physically in terms of our appearance, or emotionally where we are in terms of how we're communicating and navigating life. If we don't feel good about where we are in those places, I think that that definitely will hold us back. Our own personal insecurities will hold us back and keep us from moving forward, keep us from making connections that could be beneficial for us.
Yeah.
Like you said about, how we went on this trip and there was no drama. And just some of the attention that we got when we were in Greece almost was like, hey, how are all of these women together and they're all just laughing and joking and having a good time? And, nobody.
Black women.
Right. Black women, hey, they're not cussing each other out like they do on whatever, Atlanta Housewives or whatever the different things are.
Right.
So I think, just seeing us in that light was different for those people, because sometimes that's the stereotype that we see on TV or whatever. Yeah. But I do think that those are some of the things that hold us back, our own insecurities and fears. And then just not appreciating and valuing where we are physically, our bodies, our own selves. Those things kind of hinder us. Yeah. But when we're with people that just kind of love on us, no matter where we are, and we can express, hey, I don't like this roll of fat I got back here on my back in this group. What can I do about that, Dr.Toni?
We don't work on that fat on the back. We be like, I told y'all, I'm working on my back. I'm working on my back.
Right.
When I put on something, I want it to just be flat back there,
Yeah. And I think, women sometimes, we think, we're here and we look at other women and we think they're perfect. And, and if we can just get out of that and just accept, hey, we all got some flaws. And I think that's one of the things that's been great about the walking crew is that we can talk about these flaws. Hey, I got to put on some Spanx to cover that up right there, and you're not feeling some kind of way about yourself because, hey, we're 55, 59, 60-year-old women. And I feel like, hey, we still look great and we're aging gracefully, but we need a little help sometimes. We're all still trying to get, to a certain place in our fitness. And I think that's one of the things that I do love about the walking crew is that we can have those candid conversations and, and still, just enjoy each other and still, we make each other feel good about ourselves where we are.
And we encourage one another. And I remember
encourage one another, right?
Encourage one another. I remember one time, one of the I would say one of the most, I don't know how I want to term it, but the most endearing, I'll put it that way. One of the most endearing and loving things I saw happen on the trail. And I wasn't even there. But I remember the time when you showed up at the trail and Robin and Mona had gone up and come down and they ran into you going up the mountain. And when they
just starting to go up the mountain.
And when they saw you getting ready to go up the mountain by yourself, they had just come down and they went back up the mountain with you. I was like, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is women supporting women.
That's women supporting
and I
women.
wasn't even there, but when y'all shared it and y'all, we got our little group text and y'all put the picture. We always put our little picture in there, especially if one of us don't go. We hey, miss y'all, and show our little picture. That, y'all, I cannot tell you, that was just, that was so endearing. That was like oxygen to my soul. And I wasn't even there, but to witness it and see you all do that. I'm telling you, I was like, this is it. This is what
it was endearing to my soul too, Dr.Toni, because I was like, that mountain is no joke. And to get up there one time, it's a great feat. But for them to even be willing to turn around at that point and go back up with me, I was like, oh, well, I say y'all love me.
I tell you what. I won't do that again. I think I slept for about 3 days after. Ooh, I love you, girl, but don't mountain is unforgiving.
Look, that mountain is unforgiving. When I tell you, but you know what? But even when we're walking up, y'all, and you know, sometimes we all be huffing and puffing, and especially if we take a few weeks and we don't go, and then we go back, it's like starting all over again.
Right.
And we be like, oh Lord, help me. I mean, but we push each other, we encourage one another. Come on, we got this, we can do this. And that's what it's about. It's women supporting women, encouraging one another when we can be on the trail together and when we can't. Right?
Yeah. And I wanted to add to Yolanda's piece about what women need to do to just get out of their comfort zone. I think we also do a lot of comparison. We compare ourselves to others, right? And I think we need to just give ourselves some grace and say, hey, this is where I am. You know, I'm not used to walking. I haven't been active. I'm going to just take my time. And that's what we did with each other. It's like, hey, we're not going to jump out there. We're going to just pace ourselves. Right? And, you know, I think we just need to give ourselves more grace as to where we are and just step out of our comfort zone, and it'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
And one of the things I do like also, you know, as we were walking, because everybody was at different fitness levels. And when we had someone that, hey, wasn't speedy, you know, couldn't get up there as quickly, you know, there will always be one of us that would kind of fall back with that person, you know, and it varied from, you know, day to day. Like it might be me one time and it might be
we didn't, and that's the truth, Yolanda. And I'm glad you brought up the fact that it varied from day to day, because I might have had a good pace one day, but then, you know, depending on whether or not I rested well the night before, or I hadn't been in a couple of times, and because I'm telling you, you take 2-3 days off of that mountain, you go back, it's like starting over again. But, you know, depending on what was going on, some days I can get up there really good, real fast. And other days it's like, hey, I'm just glad to be here.
I'm see the top when I get there.
When I get there. And that's what I love about you, right? There's no competition. It's not like we're trying to outdo one another. On the trail. Y'all know I lift weights and I work out with my trainer and stuff, but when I get with y'all, it's not about that. I'm just walking with my girls, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to give that up, you know, because I recently started 5 days with my trainer, and I literally, when we were trying to figure out how to get Tuesday and Thursday in with him, one of my non-negotiables was I got to figure out how to get it in without missing my walking group, because I'm giving up the walking trail. I'm not giving up my crew. That was a non-negotiable for me. And so we worked it out. So I get with him on Zoom, and then I come walk with y'all. But I need that. You know, even though I needed to be with my trainer, I need just as much or more to be with my walking crew.
Absolutely.
And I'm not willing to give that up.
It's more like support versus fitness.
It really is. And I think that's why I wanted to broaden the conversation. At first, I was going to just keep it about fitness. And although we're talking about it in the context of fitness, but I think the principle is women supporting women.
Women supporting women.
That's the larger theme of this conversation. Women supporting women and doing what we need to do to support one another, and doing what we need to do to make ourselves vulnerable to one another. Say, hey, I need support. You know? And there's strength in that. Saying, hey, I need some, I could walk by myself, but it's better. I need the support of my sisters. I need the support of my girlfriends, you know? And so I think that is so key. You all have been supportive of me in the self-care network. When I put out the network, y'all join the network. When I do the retreats, y'all come to the retreats. I mean, y'all have been so supportive, and I appreciate that. And I pray that this network has supported you and helped you move forward in your goals, in your health and wellness and your fitness.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Yeah, just the connection, and for me, attending the first self-care retreat where you actually talked about harmony in your life. And I just remember when I came home, my mom and my husband was there, and I was just on fire, and they were like, "Ooh, what kind of retreat was this? You need to go to that thing again." So it was just, it was the whole self-care network has just been just a really great and positive influence on me. The trips, the ladies, just to see where everybody is and how everyone has grown year after year. Attending the retreats is very inspirational, and it's motivational, and it keeps us focused on our self-care and how we can continue to just be better and continue to think about ourselves. And not in so much in a selfish way, but just taking care of ourselves, taking care of our mental, emotional, and our physical health. So it's
and it's not selfish. I always say self-care is not selfish, because it's in the caring of ourselves that we're able to serve others.
And actually, I come back better. I come back from the self-care retreats better. I'm a better wife. I'm a better mom. I'm a better employer, right? Because I've taken the time to take care of me for a few days, right? And so it's been a blessing. The relationships, the growth, the amazing growth. We can just talk things out, fitness and family and business and money, right?
All of it.
It's holistic.
It's life. It's life. And so on that note, let me just do this. I think this will be a good place to encourage folk to join us in Costa Rica. So let's do this. Let me see. I'm trying to figure out how to do this. And my husband, he'd be like, babe, let me see. I'm trying to figure out how to make this happen in a way that let's see here. How am I doing this? Am I doing this right?
Make him proud.
Make him proud. Okay. All right. We're going to do this. Can y'all see this?
Yes.
One of the objectives of the Harmonize Your Life Women's Self-Care Retreat is to provide women an opportunity to travel, rest, renew, refresh, and experience the beauty of other places. Therefore, I am excited to announce the 8th annual Harmonize Your Life Women's Self-Care Retreat will be hosted in beautiful Costa Rica. Ladies, get ready to pack your bags and join me January 9th through the 13th, 2025 at Dreams Las Mareas Resort and Spa, set within the tropical rainforest on Playa El Jabo, with lush landscapes and stunning views from every corner of the resort. Come with your sisters, mothers, aunts, daughters, nieces, and girlfriends to be coached, trained, and taught by women who are professionally qualified to help us strategize and create the harmonious lifestyles we need and desire. Because harmony doesn't just happen, we make it happen. Get registered today. Take advantage of early registration discounts. Make sure you have a valid passport, because we're taking the Harmonize Your Life Women's Self-Care Retreat to Central America in beautiful Costa Rica. Don't miss it.
All right. I did it. Okay. So there it is, y'all. There it is. Come on to Costa Rica with us. It's March, and I will say that our deadline for getting your deposit in, you don't have to have the retreat paid off, but deposits are due by March 15th, so that we can know who we're actually going to be going to Costa Rica with and making this journey with. So get your roommate, get your girlfriend, get your mother, your sister, your friend, and come on, let's go to Costa Rica together. Start our year. We start every year in January with the self-care retreat, and you heard these ladies talk about the value of the retreat and what it's meant for them, and how it has helped all of us to set our year and keep us focused on self-care throughout the year. I'm so grateful again. I do want to just remind the ladies, those of you that are listening, to Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go to Dr. Toni Alvarado, Dr. Toni G. Alvarado, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find this podcast on Spotify if you want to listen while you're walking in the park or whatever, while you're doing dishes or whatever. But I prefer that you go to our YouTube channel because that's the area that we're really, really, really trying to grow right now. We want to get go up in the Google search, in the analytics, and we need your support in doing so. And you can help us by subscribing to our YouTube channel and sharing these podcast conversations with your family and your friends and encouraging them to subscribe as well. I also want to let you ladies know that you can join the Harmonize Your Life Women's Self-Care Network. You can go to my website at Dr. Toni Alvarado and join the Harmonize Your Life Women's Self-Care Network. We have wonderful programming that we do in the network that help us throughout the year. The retreat we do in January, but throughout the year, we are meeting and we are working together and doing all types of things in the network to keep the women motivated, encouraged, inspired, informed about things that will help us along our self-care journey. Again, I am so grateful for my friends Yolanda, Alexander, and Mona Roberts, who are part of the Self-Care Network, but we call ourselves the Divas on the Trail.
Divas on the Trail.
All right, we are Divas on the Trail. All of us are over 50, and several of us are in our 60s. And so, yeah, but I told somebody the other day, y'all, I feel better in my 60s than I did in my 30s.
Ditto.
Wow.
Yes.
And I know it's because of being intentional about self-care and having women like you in my life to help hold me accountable, to support and encourage me in this journey. And I'm grateful that we're able to, that you've not only been that for me, but that we're able to be that for one another. And so I appreciate you all. Thank you again. Oh, let me tell you, follow these divas. I need them to know where they can follow y'all. So you can follow them on IG, follow them, Yolanda, Yolita 3155 and Mona Roberts _. And yes, come on, next right, Mona.
Yeah.
Get that book. Say something about the book real quick, Mona.
Okay. This is our second book, and this is The Next Right Move. So we want to help you navigate your life with finances, with relationship, with fitness. It's an easy read. It's not a whole lot of pages, and it'll be worth the money and your time. So buy the book. It's on Amazon. Again, it's The Next Right Move.
The Next Right Move. Mona Roberts, the author of The Next Right Move. You can find her on Facebook. You can find she and Yolanda on Facebook, Yolanda Alexander and Mona Roberts. You can find them there, and you can also follow them on IG. I'm telling you, these some divas, honey. They divas. I'm on my way over to Yolanda's house so she can show me how to put my lashes on. I've decided I'm not going to be spending money on them lashes, and then I wake up and they be on the pillow because I started off at the mountain to sweat off all my lashes going up and down that mountain. And I told Yolanda, I said, girl, you want to show me how to put these lashes on. See, that's what I'm talking about. The support that we have for one another. And so we just going to have us a good old afternoon at Yolanda's house and learn how to put on lashes. All right?
Okay.
All right, ladies. Thank you all again for being here today. Thank you all for indulging us in this conversation. Happy Women's History Month, sisters. Happy Women's History Month to all of you who are listening to us. And we look forward to seeing you again on the Harmonize Your Life Conversations on Self-Care for Women of Color podcast with your host, yours truly, Dr. Toni G. Alvarado. I'll see y'all soon.
Thank you.